rundown both shows. Monday Night Raw last night scored a 3.7 rating. It was actually a 3.71. Scored hours of, and this stuff, I didn't get a chance to put this on the website yet, so you guys are getting it first here. But it did a 3.71. The hours, hour number 1 was a 3.68, and hour number 2 was a 3.73, which is good because in hour number 2, obviously, they rose. And
you want growth. That wasn't a lot of growth, though, really.
Yeah.
For a Brett Vince contract signing with Austin, I mean, they promoted it all week and then the whole show. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's still, whatever.
We had 5.60 million viewers overall, so that was an increase of 10% in viewership from the previous week, which is good news for Monday Night Raw. As far as TNA Impact is concerned, if you guys viewed the post as soon as I put it up, I had a 0.7 rating in there at first. It's actually, I went back and edited it. It's a 0.8. It was actually almost a 0.9, so it wasn't as bad as it first seemed. It was a 0.84. I mean, another tenth of a point, it would have been 0.85, and then would have been rounded up to a 0.9. So 0.84, it did hours of 0.88, which would have been a 0.9, and 0.80, which is bad because an hour.
So it dropped.
Yeah, it dropped big time, man.
Jeff Hardy's debut match or return match with the company, and they dropped.
Oh yeah, where do you hear that, man? The show did 1.1 million viewers. It was a decrease of 21.4% in viewership from last week. The troubling part of this is the main event, AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy, was the lowest rated segment of the entire show, from top to bottom, the main event, and that did a 0.72, and the overrun did a 0.74. So
I guess I would tell you that a lot of those viewers went over to Raw to watch the contract signing. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell the excuse would be for it being the lowest rated. That's just weird.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, when you think about it, man, you've got Steve Austin's return to WWE. When's the last time we've seen him? What was it, WrestleMania, right?
I think. Yeah. Why do you have your speakers turned on when we do this? I can hear myself on your computer right now.
Hear myself? I don't have anything turned up.
I can hear myself. I don't know. It's not an echo. It's like something from your end. I don't know, whatever. Well, but yeah, the other thing that you know from the ratings is, like, on January 4th, TNA went on Monday. That was the first time they tried it, and they were live, and they went 8 to 11, right? Okay, that's a 3-hour show, and they did what, a 1.3, I think, was it?
I think it was 1.4.
1.3 or 1.4, whatever. Either way, so 1.3 or 1.4. And then, I mean, this just tells you how retarded they are. They go 2 hours, and with Hulk Hogan's return after 3 years, Ric Flair's return after 3 years to the ring, RVD's debut, Jeff Hardy's return, all this crap last week, and all they could draw was a 1.0, which was really like, what, a 0.98 that just rounded up to a 1.0. So that when they dropped significantly from January 4th, and they only had 2 hours, not 3, it just shows that they should not be going 9 to 11 for one. It should be 8 to 10 or 10 to 12, but they should. That's one point. The second point, they should have never debuted their Monday stuff leading into WrestleMania, because there's no way they're going to, this is WWE's best foot forward right now. And they're going to try and go head-to-head with that 9 to 11 during WrestleMania build. It's insane.
I'll kind of argue this with you, because here's the deal. I mean, WrestleMania time.
Overall interest in wrestling is up. Yeah, I get that, but still, the overall interest is in WWE, not wrestling. I mean, WWE is wrestling, but not anymore as far as TNA is hoping to be,
Well, I mean, to say that this week, I mean, let's skip over this week. As far as, I mean, I saw some comments earlier on one of the sites that I report at where people were saying, fuck TNA, they're dying, da-da-da-da-da. Listen, you had Steve Austin's return to WWE. TNA and Spike TV were well aware that with the Steve Austin return, you've got Bret Hart, you've got a contract signing, you had 3 huge matches that they built up a week in advance, all WrestleMania matches. There was no way that TNA was going to increase.
And TNA was taped. I mean, to everybody on the internet, which is a decent chunk of their audience, read it anyway, or could have read it anyway.
Right. I mean, there was no way that TNA was going to increase the ratings, and they knew that they were going to fall this week. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no way you can compete with that. But think about it. After WrestleMania, you've got a week until WrestleMania, and then, Jesus, dude, they announced for the night after WrestleMania, and granted, the TNA Impact rating's not going to be good then either. It's the night after WrestleMania. But give it I would say give it 2, 3, 4 weeks after WrestleMania, and I bet they get that 1.1, 1.2 rating back, and then build from there. Go from there.
Well, that kind of depends on what TNA is doing, too. Just because WWE won't be as strong a competition, if TNA is not as good as they're doing right now by then, it doesn't mean it's going to increase. You know, they got to keep putting on good shows, which I think they're doing. You know, they're not very logical sometimes, but they're entertaining. So if they can keep doing that, I would agree with you. A few weeks after WrestleMania, it will be more interesting. I mean, I don't think it'll be anything drastic. They won't go way up because, you know, it's just not going to go overnight and jump way up just because WrestleMania is over now. But even
and I think a lot of fans kind of think that, too, that TNA Impact is going to debut on Monday nights and they're going to come out and draw 1.5, 1.6, 2.0. You know what I mean? And it doesn't work that way. It's just a matter of WrestleMania is WWE's time. Everybody, even if you're not even if you were a wrestling fan before and the product got so bad that you said, you know what, fuck this, I'm not going to watch wrestling, you're going to come back for WrestleMania. You know that in March and April it's WrestleMania time. This is where things heat up, and WWE's got that right now. WWE's got the momentum, and I think, I just think it's way too early to judge TNA's ratings. And I know you're not.
You're justifying it too, but I mean, let's be honest. Right. No matter what you say, no matter how you slice it, a 1.0 for their debut with all that they threw at it, and including the advertising, which we didn't talk about. I mean,
1.4 for their debut.
No, I'm talking about the debut of the official, ongoing Monday Night Wars last week. Okay. A 1.0 for that is with all they threw at the wall, with Hogan's return, Flair's return in the ring, and, Jeff Hardy, RVD, and then they did a lot of advertising. They even had commercials on Raw saying Hogan's wrestling for the first time in years, turnover right now, and they still couldn't, that's bad no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a bigger fan of TNA. I try to defend him as much as I can. You know what I mean? I guess, but I have a feeling that after WrestleMania, I think they get that 1.2 rating and then build from there. Go from there. See what happens after WrestleMania. But before WrestleMania, I just don't think you can look into these ratings and say that, TNA is a complete failure on Monday nights just because 2 weeks now they've drawn this past rating. I mean, they knew that this week's rating was going to tank. You know what I mean? You can't really compete with that. And WWE put on a really good show last night as far as, 3 huge matches and the Austin return. So I guess we'll run it down from top to bottom. What do you want to start with? I flipped back and forth. I know you went back and watched TNA Impact, so your mind is going to be a little bit fresher than mine as far as this is concerned. But you want to start with? Let's get through Raw, I guess. We'll do Raw first.
I know you do that. I already had TNA, so let me go get Raw. All right, yeah, let's do Raw. I didn't think it was that great of a show. It was okay. I thought the Steve Austin stuff was kind of disappointing. I mean, he didn't seem to be like as on fire as he should have been for some. He seemed like really relaxed and like it wasn't,
Yeah, but you remember he did a tweet a couple of weeks back where he said something about I can't drink beers, I can't do the middle finger thing. And I didn't see the middle finger thing, but I mean he had the beers in the opening segment. It wasn't. The problem I had was whenever he said ass.
Yeah, I know. They chunked out like 3-4 seconds, and he did it like 3 times in the show. You would think you would think they would have told him ahead of time, it's PG now, you can't say anything, even ass. And B, when he did it the first time, let alone the second time, you think they would have said, hey, would you please stop saying ass when you go out there? And he did it every single time he had a microphone.
Exactly. Well, and then you turn over to TNA Impact, and you got bitch every other word, ass, bitch, da-da-da-da-da,
Yeah.
I mean? It's just
blood pouring everywhere, titties hanging out. They're doing everything, Vince and WWE can't do, but it's not making a difference.
Yeah. We had, all right, we'll run it down from top to bottom. I'm kind of going to skip through this. I'm going to go kind of fast, and then we've got a lot of news and rumors and stuff like that. We're going to talk about wrestling.
We got UFC this weekend, too, by the way. UFC and TNA pay-per-view.
Do we really? We've got UFC coming up.
Yeah, they're on the same day, bro. UFC on Versus is on Sunday, and TNA Destination X is also on Sunday. I had to ask for TNA off because I have to do the UFC play-by-play. So
that's the Brandon Vera.
John Jones, yeah, and then you got Gabriel Gonzaga, Junior Dos Santos. There's a lot of good fights. Your boy Clay Guida's on it, and he's a prelim, which I have no idea why they did that, but yeah.
And then we got to talk about the Pacquiao-Clottey fight from this. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about that, man.
Bam! 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 Bam!
Dude, what the fuck was that, my card there. Jim Lampley, for those of you guys
Jimbo.
pay-per-view. Jesus Christ, man. And it wasn't, I told you yesterday when we were talking that it wasn't like 3 BAMs in a row. There was like 20 of them, dude.
There was literally, no exaggeration, about 15 or 20 BAMs in a row. I mean, he would separate it. He would do like 3 or 4, and then he would say, and now he's turning the corner, BAM!